Hi again then guys, and welcome to another similar kind of tune setup to the Ferrari 458, which I did a couple of days ago, and also of course way back we did some tunes for the KTM Crossbow, the 911 GT3, a couple of others as well, where you can use them on a particular event to earn a huge amount of cash on Blue Moon Bay. And as you saw from the thumbnail, this is another N400 category build, allowing you to earn about 1.75 million credits per hour, because you can do the race about 5 times basically an hour, and that allows you to win 1.75 million credits. Now, as far as the tune goes for the Ford GT, I would recommend upgrading it pretty heavily. You don't necessarily need to fully upgrade the power, just far enough to get it down into N400. As far as the weight though, I would recommend dropping that as much as you can, because it makes a big difference through corners. You don't have to, you could always work up to that if you don't have enough mileage points. But again, of course, this is not the most amount of money that you can earn. This is just for people who want to drive something else. Or for instance, maybe you don't like the KTM, because the Crossbow is still by far the best way of earning money. This is just for those people who would rather drive something different, as I said, like the Ferrari or the Porsche or various others too. Now, traction control I would recommend having turned off. You don't have to necessarily, but you will find that you're quicker without it. Racing Super Softs are the tyres of choice. Again, you could try something else if you want to, but maximum grip and all that. As far as suspension, we've dropped the ride height as far as it can go. For the frequency, we've got that on 2, front and rear. Anti-roll on 4, compression on the dampers on 63 with 90 on the rebound, neutral camber, neutral toe. You can't adjust the downforce, unfortunately. As far as the diff, I've got 30 on both initial torque and acceleration, but then braking sensitivity as high as possible. And as I often say, feel free to experiment with other things. If you already know a setup for the diff that you prefer, by all means go with that. You can always mix and match, that's the whole point of these tunes. And finally, for the gearbox, I've done a little bit of a specialised build, but not with all of the gears. So you want an auto setting of 186, and of course that's in miles per hour. And as far as the gears themselves, the only one which I've actually changed is 6th gear by dropping it down to 0.900, and I haven't touched the final drive either. Now that allows you to go over 180 miles per hour, which is more than enough to be quick enough on the straights, plus it's pretty quick through the corners as well. So to show what it's actually capable of, let's actually take it out on the track. So for those who are perhaps not familiar with the other tunes that I've done like this, you probably won't know what the event is that I'm referring to. So if you're not familiar with this at all, and you may be completely new to the channel, then scroll down below to the description, click the link there, and that will explain everything. If you are familiar with these tunes, maybe you've used some of my other ones as well, then as far as how this one compares to the others, it's definitely not as easy to use as something like the Porsche. But again, just like with the Ferrari, this is more so for people who just want to use something different. Maybe you're just not a fan of the Porsche, maybe you'd rather use a Ford GT. I know some of you guys like to use this car, so you could potentially use this tune, compare it to your own, maybe combine it with your own if you like certain elements from it. As far as how easy or difficult it is to use, as I already said, it's very fast on the straights, one of the quickest cars actually in N400. It's up there with stuff like the Ferrari F40, which I'm also going to do a tune for. And through the corners, I would recommend easing onto the brakes before you enter. This is not a car that you want to be braking mid-corner with, ideally, because it gets very heavy if you do. Because the Ford GT, somewhat ironically, has quite heavy steering, actually, which is probably the opposite to what you'd expect. Let it coast through the corner and then ease onto the power as you exit the curve, and you'll get more than enough speed on the straights to be up around the lead car, be it a LaFerrari or a Veyron, as you can see in this event, pretty easily. Around lap 9 or 10, you can win by about 7 or 8 seconds, if not more. So if you do decide to use this car, you're looking at 345 grand for a clean race, plus the fact that it's N400, and if you haven't checked out my other builds, including of course the KTM, then you can click down below to see that. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.